Hello, everyone. This is Luba Evans coming to you from beautiful New York State. And today, the topic of our video is 10 signs that you have or had a narcissistic or toxic mother and how that is affecting your ability to attract and build healthy relationships. And so when you learn what those signs are, and you will understand if your mom is actually really narcissistic or toxic, here's what's going to happen. You're going to be able to, first of all, let go of that hook. You'll be able to liberate yourself from that influence, that toxic influence. You will be able to rebuild yourself. Stop waiting for others to approve you. You're going to learn how to love yourself. You're going to learn how to set boundaries and stop being drained and insulted and guilt-tripped by a narcissistic person, whether it's your mother or somebody else in your life. And you're going to regain all the power, take your power back from all the places where you gave it. And you're going to be able to really set a beautiful new love blueprint in your life, because your mother really is the very first person that you love. So when you're born, the first eyes usually that you see are the eyes of your mother. And those are also the first eyes that you fall in love with. So this is your first love story, the most important relationship in your life. And unfortunately, so many clients and students of mine do have toxic or narcissistic or sometimes bipolar or sometimes borderline mothers. And the effects of that are really detrimental. Basically what happens is when you have a mother like this that teaches you what love is, and what is the most important is that the mother like this is like a sun, and she feels like everything is revolving around her and her feelings are important while your feelings are not. So if this sounds familiar and you did not learn how to honor your feelings since you were a little girl or maybe a little boy, stick around, because at the end of the video, you will understand what is happening. And I promise that I will give you a solution and I'll give you a call to action, what to do exactly to heal yourself from that relationship so that you could start attracting healthy partnerships. And that is not just about bringing in a life partner or a romantic partner. It's also about being able to charge more for your work, to succeed in your career, maybe to build a new business, to take bigger risks, maybe to get bigger influence in the world. So it is all about increasing your self-worth, independence, and becoming a sovereign queen and a sovereign king who is the final authority to herself or himself. Now, when you don't know what's happening and you are just going through life feeling a little bit possibly lost or having low self-esteem, or really attracting and being attracted to emotionally unavailable people, or people that you want to please, you want to get their approval, or people who are not making you happy, but you're tolerating them for a really long time, then if you don't know what is going on and why it is going on, that pattern will only continue and get worse and worse into something that I call a vertical negative spiral. So that spiral will make you attract worse and worse relationships, which are going to make you feel worse and worse about yourself, sometimes ruin your sanity, sometimes even ruin your health. So it's just that important to understand if your mother is or was narcissistic and what to do about it. So stay around. My name is Luba Evans. I am a love coach to hundreds of people, and I stand behind hundreds of incredible, inspired, empowered relationships. And my specialty is to help people let go of their fears and insecurities and shift into powerful, fearless, and magnetic, charismatic queens and kings. So if you like anything about how I look, my energy, the content of the channel, please put a like in and subscribe to the channel, share it with other people, pay it forward, especially share it with people who you feel like could benefit from it. so if, let's say, if you know that somebody is struggling with the same issue, having a difficult narcissistic mother and not being able to attract the right kind of relationship. So let me jump right into it. Number one symptom that your mother is narcissistic is her lack of empathy. So narcissists are people who are struggling themselves. Sometimes we might feel that, oh my God, this person is just so controlling and critical and powerful, all-knowing, and this person likes to have their way, and they are actually feeling really happy and powerful. The reality is, when there is no empathy, the human element is missing. Also, gratitude is missing. So these people are not happy. They are really, really unhappy, and their lack of empathy does not mean that they are all powerful. That mostly means that they're unable to get in touch with their own heart. So when you are experiencing a certain emotions, this kind of mother is unable to just hold you. She's unable to feel compassion towards you. The only thing that really interests her is how you're feeling is influencing her. So she kind of cannot really listen to you. She actually doesn't really care what is truly going on with you. What she wants to know, for example, is if you're going to give her grandchildren, or if you're going to be around, or if she can use you as a resource, or if she can complain to you. But she doesn't really care about who you truly are, especially if you are changing and you have changed over the years, but she's unable to see it. All she is capable of seeing is that overgiver and peacemaker, and that pillow, that cushion, that muffler of her emotions that you used to be. So that is number one, lack of empathy. Number two, her controlling behavior. So a narcissistic mother usually tries to control every aspect of your life, trying to make decisions for you in terms of your career, your relationships, possibly even what it is that you should be wearing, even if you are 40 or 50 years old. And she sometimes makes choices and gets things for you, sets you up with things without even consulting with you. For example, she can set you up on a date with someone without even asking you if you want it or not. And when she buys something for you and this is not your style and she fails to see who you are really, and you say thank you, but I don't want it, she plays that she's very offended and she creates a whole guilt trip about that. So the controlling behavior of narcissists actually just indicates that they're feeling very helpless, that they're feeling like the chaotic nature of the world is just so threatening that they need to have everything in order and that they need to rule everything. They are very uncomfortable with the unknown and they are not trusting. And so that lack of trust towards the universe also is based on their deep abyss, deep connection with darkness, endless hole, void. And that is why she has this great desire to control you, control the world, and control everything that she can. So if this is something that is ringing a bell, put yes, that is about my mother into the comments. Number three, manipulation. So a narcissistic mother can do anything and everything and break any kind of ethical norms in order to get what she wants. And she can use guilt tripping. She can even use blackmail. So for example, some mothers are going to guilt trip you to stay at home instead of pursuing your dreams. Some narcissistic mothers are going to play out and scenarios that they are sick or they need to be cared for, while it is not really true. Other times, a mother like this can start blackmailing you with her death. So for example, if you dare to set a boundary or you dare to call her on some kind of gaslighting behavior, that kind of a mother can get into the state where she's very upset, very emotional, and she's going to say that, let's say, her blood pressure is going high and she's going to die. And so when she blackmails you with her health, her happiness, or her death, she disarms you. Basically, she just makes you feel so guilty that you are unable to set proper boundaries or to be true or real with her. And then you are obliged to play by her rules. And if you don't, then you have to feel guilty. And at the same time, if you do, you have to feel angry. So that mixture of anger and compassion and pity for her is just mind blowing. That mixture is so toxic, so poisonous. It's absolutely a real poison. And this is something that a narcissistic parent can invoke in you, especially a narcissistic mother. And so if this is something that you sometimes experience, this mix of wanting to do something drastic to protect yourself and at the same time feeling sorry for her, then put yes, that is me into the comments. And especially it is poisonous is if at the same time while you're experiencing this, you're also eating something, because then that food becomes poisonous. And many of you, I'm sure, will recognize this, that when you're eating during that process of experiencing those mixed emotions, then you can start feeling physically sick with your body. So somatic symptoms are very, very frequent when you are dealing with a narcissistic mother. So for example, after you spend half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours with her, you might start feeling like, oh my God, you want to be falling asleep, or you want to eat to fill yourself with something, or you just sweat, or sometimes you might experience palpitations, or you might experience heaviness in the heart. So whatever physical somatic symptoms you are experiencing dealing with your mother, please put them into the comments. Constant criticism, that's number 4. So a narcissistic mother criticizes you. She can criticize you for things which are completely irrelevant. For example, by the way that you are eating, the way that you're touching your nose, the way that you are using your napkins or not using your napkins. She can criticize you for cleanliness or lack of cleanliness in your home, or lack of order in your purse. Even if you are 40, 50 years old, it does not matter. If you are an adult person who can take care of their own life, a critical mother is going to be there to control everything. How you're putting dishes into the dishwasher, how you're washing them in the sink. Yeah, you didn't do this right, you didn't do that right. So if this sounds familiar, also put "this is me" into the comments. Number 5, the absolutely worst behavior of a narcissistic mother is gaslighting. So gaslighting happens when, let's say, she insulted you and you decided to confront her, and you're telling her, Mom, but you just said that, let's say, I'm worse than my sister. And she's going to say, I never said that. Yeah, that never happened. So she insists that it never happened and that it was in your imagination, and maybe that you're overly sensitive and something is wrong with you. So it's like she's sitting like this narcissistic dark queen on the throne, and there is this dark entity behind her that sometimes has this cold stare and just absolutely is not available. Her heart is not available in those moments. And when you feel that, wow, she just absolutely denied the truth, and you feel that since you're a little child, that threatens your whole sense of reality. So what happens after that is that very often you start having bad memory. So you develop the skill of forgetting things, because if you truly remember what your mother has been lying about, then it's just very difficult to continue living, especially when you are a child and you depend on that mother for your survival. So that also can influence your power to make decisions, again, because you're not standing solidly in your reality. The reality is constantly wobbly. So there is an earthquake every time when she's angry or she gets into a narcissistic rage. And then there is this murky mirror, which basically she's reflecting your reality in such a illusory, fake way that your reality starts to feel illusory and unstable as well. And so this is how people can lose their sanity. This is how you can start distrusting your own self. And that is why you stay usually longer than necessary in toxic relationships with other people, and not just with other people, also maybe at work, maybe with your friends, maybe with romantic partners, maybe even with an entity like Facebook, for example. If you're running ads and they keep shutting you down, but you're so used to this wobbly reality that it is okay for you, and you're going to be involved in a relationship with the part of the universe that is unstable and wobbly and illusory for long periods of time. So that is just that detrimental. Number 6, the symptom of a narcissistic mother is boundary invasion. So a narcissistic mother considers you her extension, her property. She's very proprietary. She thinks that she owns you. And boundaries like you being alone in the shower, or you having to have your own private space or private time, or God forbid, private conversation with someone. Those kind of boundaries do not exist for her. And since you are a little child, you get used to that situation and you feel like you are one with that mother, but that oneness is not in your favor. Sometimes it can be very confusing because this kind of mother can also buy you gifts and tell you how much she loves you. And so there is this sweetness about this merging as well. And then all of a sudden everything just turns and she starts to use your weaknesses, starts to use the information that she found out about you against you. So for example, she can easily open your diary, read whatever is private, and she doesn't feel that it is private. She can get on the phone and talk about you and your private thoughts with her friend, for example, and then she can use whatever she read against you. For example, if you wrote something against her, and then she can say, you never loved me, you are ungrateful, you are horrible, you are the worst child that I had, and she's going to start disowning you. In fact, disowning you many times, maybe a month, many times a year, definitely many times per lifetime, is what a narcissistic mother does, because that is her way of cutting you off, blackmailing you. And so she's either bringing you up with aggrandizing you because you are her extension. So if you are gigantic and if you are better than others, then she's better than others. But when you set that boundary and you separate yourself, immediately she's going to start disowning you and discarding you. And immediately she's going to start putting you into the place where you're going to start doubting yourself, and again going into that same poisonous mix of anger and pity towards her, and wobbliness of your reality and lack of understanding of what is happening. Because the mother, the soulful mother, the mother that is supposed to be there for you, is the mother who is stable, who is somebody who brings true love and compassion, understanding and care and tenderness to you. And so when you don't have that, your reality is very thin and you're not feeling protected in the world. Number 7, she uses you as her narcissistic supply. So she seeks constant attention, admiration, and validation from you. So for example, when you meet up with her, you are going to find that she talks about herself, that she gets excited when she talks about herself and herself only. And when you try to share something, she can't even listen. And instead, she's going to pretend that she's listening just for a little bit. And then immediately she's going to start talking about herself. In the best case scenario, she's going to say something like, oh yeah, this is exactly how it was for me. And it may be completely irrelevant, by the way, what she's going to be talking about, but her goal is to divert attention towards herself. And it's going to be exactly the same thing when you bring your friend, your fiancé, your other connections into the mix. She's going to be that center of attention and admiration all the time, hijacking that attention, hijacking that admiration. And she can even triangulate you with your own friends. For example, if you bring a friend or you bring a fiancé, she can start discarding you in their presence in order to bring herself higher, in order to build her own value, that when she feels like she needs to compete with you and be the best, be on top of the world. And that's when you can, with your eyes wide open, just all of a sudden witness and experience how your own mother is insulting you in front of another person. Meanwhile, when she is alone in public, most people think that she's the sweetest thing on earth, and that gives you another trauma, that many people completely do not understand what you are going through and what you have been going through since your childhood. So number 8, as I mentioned before, is competitiveness. And sometimes she does see you as a rival and competes with you, especially when you achieve success. In fact, it is often a threat for a narcissistic mother when you look good, when you're in shape, because that makes you a supply that is not going to comply. So for example, if you're overweight and you're less popular, that allows her to keep you to herself and to isolate you. So when you are successful and you're working hard, that means again that you're not available to her to be her supply. So very often she doesn't want it. Very often she wants you to be her husband, so to speak. And it is called emotional incest. So very often, because you are the supply and she's living through you, she's often living through your youth vicariously, she's not interested in your success. And when you have a beautiful relationship with somebody else, she's actually going to be jealous, and she will be most likely discarding that person and putting that person down in your eyes. And what's going to happen then is that you are used to be listening to her, and you might be influenced by her. And the source that she uses for that would be that that person does not deserve you because you are on top of the mountain. And so that alone can be the reason why you cannot be in a healthy relationship with anyone while you're still under the influence of a narcissistic mother. Number 9, projection. So very often when she feels angry or she feels insecure or she feels unhappy, she's going to be projecting that on you. So when she sees you, she might say things like, so what's happening to you? Why are you speaking to me like this? Why are you so angry? While in reality, it's she who is angry, but she just cannot own it. She cannot own that something is happening in her that is very dark. She cannot own it. And so she wants to say that it is your trait. She's taking it out of herself. She's taking the poison out of herself. And that's why very often she's actually physically very healthy, by making you very unhealthy and making you absorb all the poison right into your body. So when she's blaming you for her faults and her mistakes and making you responsible for some choices, like for example, if you are 8 years old, she might make you responsible for choosing some kind of place where the family decided to go, and she was feeling bad there in that place, and she was feeling like, let's say, her blood pressure was rising and she was about to die, and it was all your fault in spite of the fact that you are 8 years old. So if this kind of story reminds you of any kind of story when you were accused of someone, or when you were accused of something when you were really little and you're still being accused of that, then please put, yes, this is my story, and please share your story in the comments. So number 10, isolation. So she loves to isolate you from your friends and from other members of the family. She also loves to triangulate, which means, let's say, if you have siblings, she's going to be playing siblings against each other. And usually the sibling that is the biggest caregiver and the biggest, like usually that sibling is overweight, that usually that sibling is a peacemaker in the family. So she chooses that sibling to be her narcissistic supply. Meanwhile, she might be more subservient to another sibling who themselves is more narcissistic. So that happens very often. And then you, as the beautiful heart, bright light, that's why you're on this channel, that's why you're still listening and watching this video. And so you become this victim of a narcissist who keeps giving and giving your beautiful bright light and your beautiful energy to this entity. And the reality is, the soul of your mother maybe is very, very beautiful, and she would love to love. She just cannot experience it. And she is blind and unconscious in a sense of what is really happening. She might think that she really, truly, deeply loves you. And she might think that every time you set a boundary, that something is truly wrong with you and you're crazy, because she's not getting what she's used to be getting, that supply, that attention, that admiration, that complete readiness to submit to her. So for example, when she's feeling like, oh my God, I'm not getting my food, she is going to be truly thinking that it is your fault. Also, her supply, her food is not just your admiration and your attention. Actually, when you are going through drama, when you are going through some kind of negative emotion or some kind of gossip about other people or something that is happening in their lives, which is negative, is one of her best delicacies, because that is what allows her to feel superior when you feel inferior or when other people are inferior. So that is her absolutely best gourmet food, energetic food. So if you're not giving it to her, she's going to be harsher and harsher and harsher until you start crying, for example, or until you burst into hysterics or into drama. And this is exactly what she wants, because that drama, that hysterics, your tears show her that you really care about her. And that is her biggest supply. It also shows her that she is able to influence you, and therefore she is superior. And that is also the best energetic supply that this vampire has. So don't make this mistake. Don't be trying to save your mother. So many light workers, healers, people who really are agents of change, overgivers, and sometimes you work in the professions of being a nurse, a coach, social worker, or somebody who is really helping other people, and you might want to start saving your mother, maybe giving her some kind of literature, maybe teaching her how to meditate, maybe taking her places. The reality is your mother is doing fine. She's choosing it for herself. And even if sometimes it feels to you that, oh, she's in the abyss, she's in great darkness, but in the sense that darkness is home for her. And so if we speak about this esoterically, if we look at this from the spiritual points of view, like multidimensional worlds, there is a dark entity that sometimes might feel very demonic, that is sitting there and actually feeding off your mother's being. And that dark entity is that coping strategy, that mechanism that she has developed in order for her to make sense of the world, to cope with the world. So her own trauma, of course, is good to know what was her own trauma, and it is good to forgive her soul, but it is absolutely not only unnecessary, but not advisable to feed or enable her demons. So communication with her demons is not going to serve you in any way. When you start speaking to those demons of criticism, gaslighting, or just sucking your energy, you already lost. This is a no-win situation, because they will only bring you into that darkness, only bring you in that abyss. And if it happened to you and you tried to speak rationally to that narcissistic entity in front of you, you probably have discovered that it only makes things worse. So you probably have learned to keep your mouth shut, not to express your real feelings. Or maybe you've also learned that your feelings are not important. Maybe you've learned that you are not important. Maybe you learned how to adapt to another person and how to read another person really well. And this is something that possibly made you someone who is a great agent of change, who is a great healer or a teacher or an actor or somebody who can really, really help many people. So in that sense, in that way, it is beautiful. But it also made you a person who probably adapts too much and who probably possibly is a pleaser and who can probably and possibly attract other narcissists for friends and romantic partners. And so what is terrible about that, and what's terrible about that is that until you heal yourself, until you change what I call your love blueprint, which is your relationship with love itself, until you change that, you will keep cooking yourself in this narcissistic soup. Sometimes you'll find yourself surrounded by clans of narcissists, people who do not have true compassion, people who do not fully respect you as a separate entity. And the most important is this: you might think that other people have your best interest in mind when they start to connect with you, just like you have their best interests in mind. You might think that just like when you come into contact and into a new relationship with another person, that you're expecting an equal exchange and you really want to give to them. You are really opening your heart and all you want is to love and be loved. And it is very hard to imagine and to accept that another person actually comes to the relationship to begin with a different agenda. And their agenda is to take from you. And their agenda is not to make you happy. Their agenda is not to give to you. Maybe in the beginning, to put you into some kind of narcissistic fog and to tell you, oh my God, how much I love you, maybe just like your mother does. Or maybe to tell you how amazing you are, just like your mother fattens you up before she sucks the energy out of you. But really, truly, in their soul, they're not coming in with the intention to be your equal partner. They're coming in with the intention to take from you. So we need to stop that. If you're ready to stop that, talk to my team and me. There is a 45-minute love breakthrough session. If you are a person who is serious about getting a great partner, about up-leveling every aspect of your life, including your romantic life and your business and your standing with your friends. If you want to be a person who is really highly respected, you want to get respect, if you want to get abundance, if you want to get a healthy giving partner, and stop attracting people who are using you, people who are draining you, people who are not respecting you, people who are criticizing you. If you want to stop all of that, click on the link below and set a 45-minute session with me and my team. And we are specialists. We are going to turn you within 3 months into the best, the most empowered version of yourself who can set boundaries with narcissists. And it's actually going to be really easy. And, you know, setting boundaries is not about creating conflicts or being confrontational. It's very easy to set boundaries with great love and strictness and a smile on your face. And once you come into the place where you took all your power from the places and people where you gave your power away, and when you become the final authority on your own self, and you become the sovereign queen, sovereign king, creator of your own life, everything is going to be illuminated. It's like walking on the other side of the street, and that side of the street is a sunny side of the street. Okay, beloved. Otherwise, what's happening is on your journey, on your life journey, you're moving forward, but you're also looking all the time in the rear view mirror of that childhood with that, I can say, monster, although, you know, God bless their souls. And, you know, I actually do have compassion for all people and all of their conditions. And I truly believe that everyone at the end of the day wants to love and wants to be loved, but they just don't know how. And their version of love, their love is just so poisonous, and their love is just so Malevolent. Yeah, that's the word. Malevolent. Benevolent love. So if you are a child of a narcissistic mother, I feel great compassion towards you, but I also have incredible faith in you. Yes, you can heal and you can move on and you can be reborn into the most empowered, healthy, radiant, successful version of yourself who is also going to attract wonderful people. So it's time to, hopefully for you, make that quantum leap into health and power. And please do me a favor, look at yourself in the mirror, wink at yourself and just say, hey, listen, I'm taking responsibility for this. I got it. I'm going to be moving on. There is no need for me to continue living this trauma, being drained, being insulted, being discarded. There is no need for me to keep having that experience in my life. I already know how to live like that, but I don't yet know how to live as an independent sovereign being. So this was Luba Evans. And again, we are waiting for you. We're here to support you. If you are serious about moving on to the best version, the happiest version of yourself, and to bring in a partner into your life, and you're serious about working on yourself, and you're ready to explore coaching options, and we have tons of programs, and we have so many things happening. We have retreats in Costa Rica and Peru. We have ecstatic dating in person, online. We have magnetic woman, magnetic man programs. We have angel programs for coaches. There is so much that's happening in our world, and we're growing an army of angels, and you are invited to come and talk to us. This was Luba Evans, and I'm wishing you the best.